Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're just going to wait for a couple more seconds just to let if folks who are joining us live today have the opportunity to filter into the room. Um, but in the meantime, as I always like to say, go ahead and enjoy the starter slide and kind of get excited and ready for the chat. I know I'm really excited for this semester kickoff. And I think we have some pretty stellar professors here with us today. So, hi, professors.
Good morning.
Hey.
Good morning. All right, so let's go ahead and start. So, my name is Jenna Quinn, and it's my pleasure as the Assistant Director of Alumni and Affinity Engagement to welcome everyone to this edition of the 49er Industry Chat Series. Just a couple housekeeping items. We are just informing everyone that this session is being recorded. So really what that means for you is that this is going to be available for you to watch again on our website at www.csulb.edu/alumni. And since this is a webinar format for those of you who are joining us live today, we want to go ahead and encourage you to submit any questions that you may have using the Q&A box that you see there on your screen. Again, so that's the Q&A box, not the chat box. And feel free to submit at any point in time. We'll see about getting those questions relayed on over to our speakers. So this semester is a little bit different in recognition of Mayor Rex Richardson's initiative, Grow Long Beach. This semester, we're doing a focus entirely on the hospitality and tourism industries. And so we're really excited to have Professor Brianna Koster share about how CSULB is preparing the next generation of hospitality management professionals right here. So I'll just start off with her bio before I turn it on over to our wonderful moderator today. Sorry, one second. So Brianna Koster is the director of the Hospitality Management Program here at Cal State Long Beach, bringing years of industry experience and a deep passion for student success. As a proud alumna of the program herself, she is dedicated to shaping the next generation of hospitality professionals through innovative hands-on education. With a background in the food and beverage industry, Brianna has held leadership roles in restaurant operations, brand excellence, and program management, gaining insight into the evolving demands of the hospitality sector. She is a firm believer in the student-centered learning approach for the program that prioritizes student engagement, active participation, and application through real-world scenarios. Brianna, thank you so much for joining us. And now I'm going to turn it on over to our moderator today, Dr. Virginia Gray, who is the department chair for Family and Consumer Sciences. Thank you all.
It's great to be here, and thanks to all who have joined us today. And I also see in the audience Dr. Lee Bletcher, who is the founder of our hospitality program at CSULB. So glad to see you in the audience. So Brianna, I'm really happy to have this conversation with you today to share about your experience. And as Jenna mentioned, you're an alumna of the program. So that's really fantastic to bring that experience as a student back into our program and also your industry experience. So let's start there with a little about your background. Can you tell me about your experience at CSULB as a student and a transition from there to industry?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. Obviously, I didn't stray too far here. I, as you mentioned, am an alumna of the program. So I was here in one of the first couple years that the degree was actually offered as a Bachelor's of Science at Cal State Long Beach. So I had a wonderful time in the program, a wonderful experience. I was heavily involved. I was part of the hospitality club, vice president of that, and involved in every golf tournament that we held, and actually landed an internship via one of the career fairs that we had. So it really kind of kicked off my experience in the industry. So it was a really good kind of holistic view of the industry, and left there once I graduated and focused on the food and beverage side. So I worked in restaurants and started from the bottom of the food chain as a host with Chili's, with the Brinker brand, and kind of worked my way up into management with them. So once I graduated, they said, we need you as a manager at the young age of 21. So I was really fortunate to have that opportunity. And then I kind of ventured off, stayed in the food and beverage industry, but went on to the inspection side. So I was inspecting for a private company for brand excellence, food safety. So I was managing programs, ended up sitting in the corporate office at Taco Bell in Irvine, worked very closely with the El Pollo Loco brands, and helped manage their programs nationwide, kind of on the operations side. So that was all my industry, and then came back to teach because after training a lot in the field with the operations team, I realized that was a passion of mine. So came back to join the program here where it all started. And so now I'm really happy to be able to share my experiences with our students and help prepare them to get launched into the industry themselves.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that trajectory. It seemed like a seamless transition between being involved as a student and getting some of that workforce development. And I look forward to you later sharing more about what we're doing in that area with our students.
Yeah, that was key.
Sure. So for those who are looking into pursuing a career in the industry, what exactly is hospitality management?
Sure. So hospitality, just by definition, is, being welcoming to guests, providing services to visitors, to strangers, people we don't know, and just offering those services with a welcoming attitude. So you just think of that, and hospitality management is then managing those businesses that fall within those categories. So the hospitality umbrella is really, really large. It's actually the world's largest industry because it encompasses so many sectors. So things like food and beverage, so restaurants, contract dining services. We have lodging, hotels, resorts. We have entertainment, so conventions. We've got events. We've got I'm trying to think all the things. We have recreation, so country clubs, amusement parks, everything. We have travel and tourism, so airline industry, cruises. So all those things combined are hospitality. So what we're preparing our students to do is manage those business operations within the broad industry.
Great. So something that we're always looking at in the university side is which fields are growing, right? Where do we need more students? And so I'd love to hear you comment someone is, the hospitality management industry in a current growth trajectory?
Yeah, they actually are. So the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics has projected there'll be about 2 million extra jobs added by 2031 for our industry. And it has some of the largest growth projections compared to overall occupations within the management fields. So hotel and lodging is about a 7% growth. We have event management, which is the biggest of them all. They have about 10% growth trajectory compared to other management occupations across other industries is only about a 4 to 5% growth. So post-pandemic, we've seen about a 7 or 8% growth year over year for this industry. So it's really promising. One thing that we love about the hospitality industry is that it is pretty resilient. So it's always bounced back, post-pandemic, post-recession, because people always are in need of food and beverage and places to stay. And we've seen post-pandemic that, when travel was all cut off, now it's coming back in tenfold because people want to see the world and they realize what they've missed out on. So the growth path is really promising, which is really exciting for us to be able to share with our students.
Great. That's wonderful to see that growth. And also, as the industry grows, often there are new trends that come about that we're responsive to in our pedagogy and training. So I'd love to hear you speak to some of those trends that you're seeing in the industry.
Yeah, there's always different trends every year. They're always changing. What we've seen, so speaking of kind of pandemic, is the rise of bleisure travels, they call it. So it's a combination of business and leisure. So because we had so much remote work that was launched and everybody's used to working from home and on their laptops, people have been traveling and working simultaneously. And so we see the industry kind of catering towards that type of traveler, that type of customer, which is really unique. So offering different types of services, some business suites for rent or, smaller study spaces, things like that, which is, yeah, so fascinating to me. We also, this younger kind of generation really appreciates sustainability. And so we've seen this trend known as like sustainable luxury. So people really appreciate the feeling of luxury in their life, but they're also conscious about being sustainable. And so we see, especially lodging facilities, trying to blend those together. So sustainable luxury, sustainable practices in a more luxury kind of environment, which I find really fascinating. Obviously, technology is always going to be there. It's always ever evolving and changing. So things like AI and how they're incorporating that into business operations, along with other, VR and all of these different kind of technology platforms is really exciting. And then probably another one of the big ones is wellness tourism. So travel is really, really big in the industry. And so a lot of companies, again, lodging mainly in this space, is focusing on wellness tourism. So they're offering services like it's more of a holistic approach. So as we've always seen, kind of like spas for physical well-being, they're also offering things like yoga sessions and meditation for mental well-being. And so it's this more holistic approach that they're catering to those types of travelers for wellness. So people are having more of a focus on themselves and their individual health, yet traveling at the same time. So I think those are some of the key ones that we're seeing this year, which is exciting.
Those are really interesting. I'm just returning from a trip myself and actually can think of several of those examples that you gave. I didn't know the term bleisure before now, but now I do. But I remember some folks in Colorado combining some, work they were doing there with the ski scene. So yeah, lots of interesting things on the horizon to prepare our students for.
Yeah, really unique.
So Brianna, can you give us an overview of our hospitality management program at CSULB? How's it structured and what are we doing to train our students?
Yeah, so we have we offer the Bachelor's of Science for hospitality management as well as hospitality management minor. So there's a couple different options for our students. Where our program is designed to prepare students for leadership roles in that space. So more of the management focus across all sectors. So we'll see food and beverage and hotels and event planning, cruise ships, things like that. So we want to prepare our students to really lead those spaces. We have, as I alluded to, kind of a broad focus. We try to offer our students a little bit of every part, as it is a really large industry. So it's pretty diverse. We have courses in food production, hotel management, facilities, food safety, beverage management, event planning and management, dining management. We're offering a new course this summer on cruise ship management. So we get a little bit of that culinary. We have a little bit of events. So kind of a broad, kind of holistic approach. And then we have some leadership specific courses. We have HR, marketing. So also some of that kind of back end operations. So we can, those who want to work kind of front lines and also on the back side, just giving them a variety of options.
Great. And so one of my favorite things as serving as the chair of this department is walking through the building and seeing our students doing things, right, in preparation for that industry experience. And I know the hospitality program is at the forefront of that in our department, of really giving students hands-on experiences. So what opportunities for involvement does our program provide students while they're enrolled?
Oh gosh, what don't we do? We have, so the very basic, just being involved in our program. We have the Hospitality Management Association, which is the HMA, we call it, club. For our majors, actually, it's open to non-majors as well. So if you're just interested in that space and you enjoy catering to other people and serving them, you can join the Hospitality Management Association, and they do events offsite. In a few weeks, they're getting ready to attend. I think it's Lot 59. It's like a sustainable farm, and they're going to host a workshop for our club members on floral arrangements. So just things like that, that our club does a good job at. We also have program ambassadors. So we always look for our students who are really involved in the program that help us kind of publicize and help other people understand what it is that we do. And then we have fundraising opportunities. We are plugged in with the California Restaurant Association. We also have an upcoming competition, culinary competition for the high schools that we volunteer for every year called Pro Start. So that's a way to get involved. We host every semester a wine and culinary excellence event. So we have our students actually in our courses, beverage management, event management. We have several classes that really plan this event from start to finish. So from the very basic planning, contacting vendors, to the full-on execution. And that's going to be held at the Queen Mary this year. So exciting opportunities. We have industry speakers that come in every semester. So you have a chance to listen to them, see what they have to bring, ask questions. Hospitality career fair, where potential job and internship, networking opportunities, industry panels. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of what else. That's a lot of what goes on. It's not an exhaustive list, but just to give you some idea.
That's great. And so we've heard a lot about the different experiences that our students have in this program. I'd love to hear your comment on what you're doing to prepare students for this industry. What helps them get ready to be managers in the hospitality industry?
We have, everything. That is our job, is to prepare these students for industry. We have courses that really cater to connecting academia with industry, which oftentimes we see in that college setting is that missing piece, right? We need that real world connection outside of the textbook. And so we have some courses, professional development courses. We start from the basics, resume writing and interview practices. And so we really kind of get them geared up there. And then we require them to do some industry experience hours, whether that's volunteer service or working. And so they're getting those hours. Everybody will have at least 800 hours of work experience by the time they graduate with that degree, which is huge. Like, you can't say that for many other programs. And oftentimes, I think when our students graduate in other programs, they're not required to have a work experience, and they struggle to find a job because their resume is somewhat built, but that lacks experience, and it's hard for students to get hired. So we kind of pride ourselves on that 800 hours, which is a really solid foundation for connecting them and setting them up for success when they actually get to industry. We provide networking opportunities, things like with professional organizations and guest speakers. And we have a really solid advisory board from industry professionals that we're working on connecting our students with as mentors, so that they can really be well prepared, have a place to ask questions, get experience from real world scenarios. Trying to think. Yeah, that's the most of what we have. So, and just opportunities to collaborate. And I think we do a pretty good job of making sure that our students are really well prepared.
And I bet that experience they're spending out in the field all that time is great. Conversations provide so many great conversation starters back when they're on campus and in classes, right? Talking about what they learned in those real world settings and learning from each other.
Yeah, it's really exciting. What we see, in that internship class is, they write journals and they kind of regurgitate to us what they're doing in industry. And it's fascinating to read those journals when they say, oh, the light bulb went on, right? We connected this topic and all of a sudden I was able to apply it to my job. And here's how I did and how I did it and what I did. And I was really successful at that. And this program kind of set me up for that success. And then also, it's challenging for students to work and go to school. But in that, they're learning those time management skills, the social skills, how to communicate when things, get in a bind. So they're learning the soft skills in addition to those hard skills out in the field, which we've seen to be very, very beneficial for our students.
Of course. Well, that leads really well into a discussion about where our graduates have been placed. What kinds of jobs are our students getting after they leave our program?
They're everywhere. We try to keep track of them all. There's so many and they go everywhere. So we have some that are recruiters, recruitment managers for university relations. So we partner with Marriott and they host a Voyager program, which is a management program for our students. And we're very involved with them. So actually one of our alumni is now management of recruiting for them. We have people in food and beverage operations as management with school districts. We have event managers. So, I mean, that's kind of a broad umbrella. We have people in events for hotels. We have people with insomniac events for festivals. So that's a big space. We have hotel managers, GMs, food and beverage managers in hotels. We have students who work in attraction management, so Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm. We have owners of their own food and beverage concepts. We have boba shops. We have Mexican food restaurants, owners of those, and then managers of those. We've got, we have director of operations for the W Hotel, Terranea Resorts, Hotel Maya over by Queen Mary. We have some in the airline space that are either on the back end logistics or flight attendants. So they are everywhere. And our students have been very successful. And we're so excited, when we see those updates on LinkedIn and they reach back out to us. So they've been quite successful. And a lot of them credit a lot of their success back to our program.
That's amazing. I'm just thinking that if any of us go experience the things that there are to experience in this area, we're likely to be touched by a student in the CSULB hospitality management program.
Very likely.
So, Brianna, what exciting program initiatives can we expect to see in the coming years? You talked some about these trends that we have going on now, but what do you expect in the future?
Yeah, we have a couple big ones that we're focused on. Again, not an exhaustive list, but things like new course offerings. So we try to keep up with those industry trends and see where the focus is, where the customers are. Right now, we're seeing a lot of focus and growth in that cruise ship space. So looking at offering new course there. We look at like stadiums, big, SoFi Stadium, which is really local to us. That was built a few years ago, and the opportunity we have for either contract dining there or event management there in those big stadium spaces. So maybe tailoring our course offerings to follow those trends, and that's where we see, students really want to go into. So exciting new course offerings in the future. We have a partnership that we think is going to be really strong with the Queen Mary locally. So we're looking at developing that partnership and maybe offering some internship opportunities for our students to work on the Queen Mary right here in Long Beach and see how that kind of progresses, maybe host some classes there. So we're excited about that. And then we're looking at developing an industry mentorship program that's more formal. So working with our advisory board really closely, which we have, some pretty prominent names with some pretty prominent brands represented amongst our advisory board. So working with them to actually be mentors for our students. And that's a great way to just kick off your career and network and learn from somebody who's been there, done that. And so we're really excited to fully develop that formally and have that kind of take off with our students. So I think those are the biggest, maybe 3 initiatives that we have that we're looking for.
It's great to hear, and certainly you're not going to be bored in the years ahead, right? As you keep this program growing and aligning with what you see out there. That cruise ship course, Brian, I know you're developing the cruise ship course for this summer. So if a student signs up to participate in that course, what might they experience?
Ooh, yeah, really exciting. So it's going to be an online course. So it's over the first summer session, that's 6 weeks. The first 5 weeks is fully online, and then we take that last week on board a cruise ship. We have some educational time there, so we'll hear from guest speakers, maybe the events manager, operations manager, the GM, food and beverage manager there, and they might give, kind of an industry speaker lecture. They'll give us some tours, operational tours of the ship, and also port tours. So we have to keep in mind that there is onboard operations and also land operations, port operations. So just giving our students a good sense and a perspective of, the different kinds, everything that goes into making a cruise ship run. Somebody from events, there are event planners on cruise ships that, coordinate the shows and the entertainment. So things like that. So we'll spend a few hours each day there on our week-long cruise down to the Mexican Riviera, Puerto Vallarta, and Cabo, and back up here in San Pedro. So I'm hoping that's a great opportunity for our students to learn.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So we have a question coming in from the chat, Brianna, and it's, what is your favorite or most useful for workforce readiness program event that you put on?
Most useful readiness for the workforce?
Yes. Yeah.
I would say our internship class is best workforce readiness. Now, that's not an event, but we also prepare our students for things like career fairs. So that's kind of the back end readiness and being prepared to see face-to-face. But then hands-on, getting a feel for operations, that would be our wine and culinary excellence event. So that's the hands-on application, again, from start to finish, planning to execution, where students really get to be involved and see like what goes on from, budgeting and the finance side to planning, and then again, executing, that's food and beverage, decor. So that's the best probably hands-on application that we have right now.
Fantastic. Yes, I'm thinking there are several experiences like that built into your program. I'm also thinking of the course Dr. Gustin teaches, where a meeting room is transformed into a dining space, and the students are serving, planning the menu and developing that concept, and then serving our guests multiple times a semester in that course too.
Yes, that's a big luncheon that they put on. So they work in teams, which is huge. It's challenging for students sometimes to come in and work in a group environment. But in that course, yes, it's a semester long, and they have to figure out how to work with each other, delegate, who directs, and then executing full-on luncheons, from theme to, food and beverage and service is a huge one. So yes, all of those.
Yeah, I think that team-based learning is so critical. Sometimes students say, I really just don't want to do a group project. And then you remind them this is how the world works. And so what you all have integrated into that course to deal with team dynamics when they're difficult, instead of just saying, I don't want to be part of a team, is, I think, really critical for workforce development.
So valuable.
Well, I'm looking to see if there might be any other questions in the chat. We've come to the end of our planned questions, but if there are other questions folks have that they'd like to have us address or listen to Brianna speak on, please feel free to put those in the chat. I see one coming in. What's your favorite part of the hospitality management industry, Brianna?
My favorite part? Like my favorite sector, my favorite place to work. I don't know.
Or even just your favorite part of being in it. Yeah, however you'd like to think of that.
Working like with people, right? It takes a special human to really kind of work in our industry. You have to really enjoy working with people, and that is colleagues as well as customers. And in some of our courses, we really focus on that service element, and we talk about how how we create a special moment for a guest, which is really, really difficult to do. It might sound easy, but being creative and allowing teams to really go above and beyond to execute on great service for your guests and having that guest recognize the effort that went into that and just seeing them leave so happy with the experience that they had is like cream of the crop. Like there's nothing that compares. So that's my favorite part, just seeing that whole experience come together for a guest that they just really appreciate is certainly my favorite.
It's great. Yeah, I've really heard that when people have an experience they want to tell someone else about, that's a real highlight of doing well in hospitality.
Yeah, yeah.
Another question came in about courses that someone might take to pursue a Bachelor of Science in Hospitality Management. So, Brian, I'm thinking maybe for this one, if a student was interested in exploring whether this is the career for them, or maybe speak a little bit about the kinds of courses that are in our program.
Yeah, so we've got hotel and lodging in different various forms. So there's a couple different courses we offer on hotel and lodging. So from operations to information systems, to facilities, things like that. And then we have global hospitality, so more international perspective and what that looks like. Marketing. So again, the back end kind of operations are going to be marketing in hospitality, HR in hospitality, financial management and cost control. So all of those kind of back end, kind of revenue management. We have legal issues. So if you're looking more of that legal side, we have a legal issues. And then we have food and beverage. So hotel and dining management, restaurant financial management. We have beverage management, looking at more of the bar kind of operations. Food production. So that's more of the culinary element, where we have a couple of lab settings like we were talking about, where they actually work up, they cook. So the basic culinary is where they learn kind of the preparation production. And then that second class that's built on top of that is the execution of that luncheon and event. So how to bring it all together. We have sustainability in food service. Gosh, I mean, the list goes on. There's still so much more. Event planning, and that class is involved in planning several events so one course focuses on hotel and restaurant events, and then there's another one that we do the Queen Mary and that whole operation for the wine and culinary excellence. So we offer a lot. There's a lot.
For sure. And it certainly sounds like we're really thinking about preparing our students for both the management side, the fiscal side, and then also that leadership and team connection and leadership side.
Yeah.
So another question came in about the types of internships students should be looking for and what's the best place to look for them.
Ooh, that's a great question. Every semester our students ask that. Well, where do I get an internship? So our internship program here is a little bit different than maybe some that you see across campus. We don't place for internship, which is kind of nice. Our students can go anywhere. And knowing now all of those sectors that hospitality encompasses, they're really free to choose anything in that space. So you can go out and find your own, whether that's in a restaurant, it's in a hotel, it's with an event space. It can be volunteer or it can be paid. So paid, unpaid, it's up to you. Whatever is most beneficial, convenient for our students. When you're in the program, you can either come to us when you're getting ready to prepare to look for an internship. We have some connections that we might be able to pair you up with. Maybe we know somebody who's looking for an intern or for a job, for job placement. So we can start there. We also keep track of where our previous students have had internships. And so we have maybe the contact information for those businesses that have hosted our students as mentors before, and we can maybe reach out or suggest a student reach out to see if they're willing to bring on some more interns. And then we also have for students and alumni, actually, you have kind of a lifetime access to the services. I think it's through Beach Connect on campus. And that's where you can do a job search. If you're looking for a job, you can also do an internship search. And so industry posts those opportunities specifically for some Cal State Long Beach students. So you can find those there. So there's a few different ways that you can look, but it's really kind of up to the student and where they're passionate about working.
Yeah, that's really helpful, I think, for students to be able to pursue the kinds of experiences that'll let them know, is this really where the direction I'm wanting to head, or might I try something else within the field with so many options.
Yeah, and that's where I think it's so valuable for the fact that we require this internship. So 800 hours might seem like a lot. The internship course itself is about 200. And again, it might seem like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, a very short amount of time. And some of our students find internships and they end up loving it. And then they get offered a full-time job out of it, and they love it. And others decide, you know what? I'm glad I tried that first when it was kind of a low stakes environment. I was able to learn, but I also realized like that's not really what my passion is. Now I know I want to go somewhere else. So just kind of requiring, I don't want to say force, but requiring that they get that experience is for their own benefit. You either love it or you decide, nah, I think I'm going to find something else. Maybe, instead of food and beverage, it's hotel or it's events. So.
Fantastic. It reminds me a lot of nutrition, which is my background, right? We have a lot of hours that are required in different settings, and it certainly helps you to figure out, this is what I get really excited about, and that maybe not so much. So it's really great to have those experiences.
Yeah.
So we have a question, a great question from an attendee asking if someone is interested in becoming a mentor, who should they contact?
We would love you. So you can reach out to either myself or we have like a program email. So either way, hospitality management at csulb.edu or brianna.koster at csulb.edu, and I can always share that contact information we sent out. But would love for you to join us and work with our students to mentor them. That would be wonderful.
Thanks so much. What types of backgrounds do faculty in the program have?
We have all sorts. So we work to find faculty in the industry with the experience in the courses that they teach. So those that have food and beverage experience, we have, VPs in operations and former general managers. So people who've worked their way up in food and beverage. We also have hotels, managers. We have VP of human resources, and a couple of those. We have someone with their Juris Doctorate who does hospitality law, so they teach that course. Others in financial and more revenue management, they teach those courses. So we really come from all sorts of backgrounds. We have, those that work, manage events for the city in more of a public relations setting, and others more in a private event setting. So they come from all backgrounds, but kind of our experts there in their field in the courses that they teach.
I think that's a real asset that our program has, is not only do we have faculty who are full-time in the classroom in the leadership of students, but we have so many part-timers who are still doing their jobs out there in the fields and bringing that every day into the classroom. So a real benefit to our students.
Absolutely. And we see every semester, the feedback from students. We ask them to give their feedback. And that's one of the biggest things they appreciate is hearing the connection to industry and the actual real world examples and scenarios. And, especially conflict management is a big one, because as managers and leaders in the space, when we're working with people, you're always going to have some conflict that you're going to have to resolve and manage. And you can talk about it and read about it in a textbook all day, but when our instructors bring in, one time here we dealt with this scenario, and then here's how we dealt with it, whether successful or unsuccessful, is still a learning opportunity. And so being able to share that with students, they really value and they really appreciate that.
Fantastic. We have another question about a trend that is currently affecting many sectors. So AI is affecting so many industries. How would you see AI as affecting hospitality management, Brianna?
Yeah, it's interesting. A question I get all the time from students is, well, is AI going to take over our jobs? Right? I mean, that's always a concern. And in every industry, it's really top of mind right now because AI is growing so rapidly. But I always tell my students, don't worry about AI replacing your job. We are in an industry where human connection is the foundation. And you can never replace a human with a robot because it doesn't have the emotional intelligence and the sympathy and the empathy that we humans feel. And so there will always be a need for that element. So the things that AI is replacing in hospitality or helping us drive is things like personalization. And it's really using customer data to really help change those maybe operational shifts. So improved personalization experiences. So we're able to now grab different data points and really customize an experience in a positive way for our customers. Decision making on some operational pieces that maybe we didn't think about, there it's using data to really drive those, and it's more that utilization piece. But forever, we're going to need people to work with customers and empathize and be there, to really just provide that authentic service that won't ever be replaced by AI. So hospitality is really using it to fuel more of that back end decision making for us.
I think that's a really helpful perspective to share with the students, right? Here's a tool and how it can be used to help us in these areas, but certainly can't replace the human piece that you're really looking for.
Yeah. Don't be scared of it. Embrace it, definitely.
Wonderful. Well, Brianna, our last question is how can we get in touch with you if we have other questions? And I see that Gemma has put in the chat both your email address as well as the email address for the hospitality management program. So we would love to hear from anyone who's attended today or who watches later.
Yeah, please reach out.
Yeah, thank you both so much for this chat. I think that I'm certainly impressed with just the sheer breadth of things we're doing and the sheer breadth of industries. Or I guess it's one industry, but particularly of all these different specializations.
Yeah.
I think that's something that just kind of takes your breath away, right? When you're talking about an industry this big, and it's really awesome to see everything that we're doing here at CSULB to facilitate those and to churn out the next successful group of professionals. So thank you so much for what you're doing. I think that is fantastic. And I thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate, the opportunity to share what we're doing here. We're excited about it.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so much for featuring our program.
Absolutely. And we, like I said, here at CSULB Alumni, we have a semester-long focus on hospitality management and tourism industry as part of that Grow Long Beach initiative. So we will be having different events and opportunities that, for those of you who are interested in getting more involved, that'll be coming up. So events, mentorship opportunities. Right now we're taking applications both for students and for mentors for a mentor program of hospitality management and tourism in our Beach Nexus. So if you log on to Beach Nexus, you'll certainly see that and be able to sign up. And we'll make sure that we keep everybody in the loop on that one, especially as we go on with more chats. So thank you all so much. Again, feel free to watch this again or share it with a friend. This will be available on demand at www.csulb.edu/alumni. And as well as, Feel free to share it out. Keep in contact with us on all of our social media channels. We're at CSULB alumni on all platforms. So thank you guys again so much. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and we really appreciate it.
Likewise. Thanks, Jenna. Thanks, Lana.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Okay.